Yes, hello once again, and welcome back once more to Classic Dirt Bike TV, where we continue with the racing highlights from the Northern Ireland Classic Scramble Club's two-day charity event that was held at Craigantlent at Ballysallagh Road in Bangor. Now this of course is a continuing racing from the Saturday's race programme, and we're taking a look at the Stitt family there. Young Harry Stitt on the left with his father in the middle, and I think that's Harry's brother on the right hand side there. So it's a Stitt family gathering at this Saturday's race programme. So we're going to get right down to our next race of the day. This of course is the youth 125s and 250s, and this of course is race 9. So as the riders make their way round to start lap 1, I think it's number 611 in the front of the pack there, who is your race leader on the KTM. But many of these youth riders have completely different numbers on their race shirts as opposed to the numbers on their race bikes, so it does get a little bit confusing, but we'll try and do our very best to pick out a few of these riders as they make their way up the hill. So as we look at our race leader, I think it's still rider number 611 on the KTM. A rider of course that's not listed in the race programme, so I'm unable to identify that rider, but I think in second position there is number 24. I think that's Jack Bolton in second position. Now in third it looks like it's Luke Stockdale, although Luke appears to have number 171 on his race shirt and number 71 on his bike, but I still think that's Luke Stockdale, so it's still number 611, your race leader. Second is Jack Bolton, third is Luke Stockdale. So looks like we've got a faller there. I think maybe just grabbed a little bit too much front brake. He went down quite hard, that rider, and I think that's rider number 109. I think that could be Redmond McNamee who has went down there, but he still looks okay. So as the riders come round to complete lap 1, it's still number 119, your race leader, followed by number 24, that's Jack Bolton. I think it's still number 71, Luke Stockdale, in third position as they make their way up the hill. As we take a look at second placed rider number 24, Jack Bolton, chasing our race leader number 611, who I think is riding a little KTM. Some very quick riders in this youth 125 and 250 class, and of course all of these youth races here at Ballysallagh Road for the 2-day event are all sponsored by Function Design Furniture, so thanks to all the guys there for your contribution to this charity event. So as our riders come up to complete another lap, now I've just had another look at the race programme. I think that could be Nathan Briggs, your race leader number 611, but please don't quote me on that particular fact, but I think that could be Nathan Briggs on this KTM bike. So in second place is still number 24, that's Jack Bolton on the YZ Yamaha. Luke Stockdale looks like he's moved down to fourth position, but it certainly looks like it's Briggs written on the back of Nathan's race shirt, but quite hard to make out at this point, but we'll go with that for the time being. So it looks like it's Nathan Briggs, your race leader, number 611. Second is still number 24, Jack Bolton. Number 1 is your new third placed rider, who unfortunately again is not listed in the race programme. So as our race leader comes up to start his last and final lap, it's Nathan Briggs who leads number 24, Jack Bolton. Number 1 is in third position, Luke Stockdale is in fourth. But this has certainly been a good ride by this young man, Nathan Briggs, as he's already beginning to catch up some of the slower riders on the track, but as he makes his way round on his last and final lap, it's number 611 Nathan Briggs from number 24 Jack Bolton in second position. Luke Stockdale is still in fourth with number 1 in third position, so this has been a good ride by number 611 Nathan Briggs. That rider there is one of the back markers, so he is not your race leader, but here he is just crossing the line to take the win. Number 611 Nathan Briggs with number 24 Jack Bolton in second. Okay, that brings us round to the next race, which is the pre-1977s class, and this of course is race 10. Not a big field of riders for the pre-77s, but many of these riders did race on the Friday evening, and some of them decided not to race on the Saturday, so that could be another reason why there's a smaller field. But as they make their way up the hill, it looks like it's number 541, I think that's Harold McQuaid on that old 1974 Myco, who is your race leader at this point as they make their way up the hill. And once again, all of the classic and Twinshock races at this event are again sponsored by the Fox's Den Cafe and Deli Bar at Jubilee Road in Newtonards. So it's thanks to all the guys there for their generous sponsorship of these classic and Twinshock classes. So we're looking at our race leader Harold McQuaid on the Myco, who leads what looks like John Griffiths on the CCM bike. In third position, it's Adrian Lappin riding that very nice CZ machine that we had a look at in the paddock in a previous video. Number 79 there, that's Ivan Cairns in fourth position, but as they come round to complete lap 1, it's Harold McQuaid, your race leader, from number 33 John Griffiths, but this looks like it's going to be a good battle at the front between these two riders, but John Griffiths now takes the lead on his Alan Clues CCM bike, but Harold McQuaid fighting back with that old 74 Myco machine. But there's certainly a good scrap developing between John Griffiths and Harold McQuaid. These old 1974 or 75 Mycos were fantastic bikes back in the day when the likes of Alfred Wheel was winning MotoGPs with these old bikes, but you can see they're still quite competitive even in this modern day. So it's number 33 John Griffiths, your race leader, from number 541 Harold McQuaid in second position as they make their way to the bottom section of the track to come up the hill to complete lap 2. Now only 4 laps of course for these classic bikes, but as they make their way up the hill, it's advantage to John Griffiths from number 541 Harold McQuaid. And as you can see, the racetrack still in absolutely perfect condition for this kind of racing. We've been very lucky with the weather over the course of the 2 days. Not a drop of rain basically fell on the track, so the track in fantastic condition. So we've been quite lucky at picking the right date to hold this 2-day charity event. But it's still John Griffiths, your race leader, from number 541 Harold McQuaid on that 74, I think, Myco. It'll probably be a 400 machine, or maybe even a 440, but doing very well chasing John Griffiths here, number 33 on the Alan Clues at CCM. As we take another look at number 79, that's Ivan Cairns riding that what looks like an old TT500 Yamaha 4-stroke machine, but as the riders come round to start their last and final lap, it's John Griffiths who leads number 541 Harold McQuaid on the Myco. But that 1974 CCM bike of John Griffiths is not a fully original bike from that year. This is a remanufactured CCM, manufactured and built by Joel Maxwell Engineering in Dumfries in Scotland. So as you can see, still a very competitive machine as John Griffiths leads Harold McQuaid on the Myco as they head towards the checkered flag on their last and final lap. But this has been another good ride here by number 33, John Griffiths. And Harold McQuaid still doing his very best to try and get up to the back wheel of John Griffiths' CCM, but it looks like Harold's still going to have another go here before the checkered flag. So absolutely nothing between these two riders. So as they head towards the bottom section of the track, it's still John Griffiths with that slight advantage over Harold McQuaid's Myco, but as they come up to take the checkered flag, it's going to be number 33, John Griffiths, with Harold McQuaid crossing the line in second. Okay, that brings us round to Twinshock Grade C class. Now this has been one of the best attended classes over the course of the 2 days here at Craigantlent. As you can see, an almost full lineup of riders. So the 5 second board is up and the riders leave the line, and it's not hard to spot the two-stroke in this particular lineup. So as they come round to make their way up the hill, I think it's rider number 221 who has that early advantage. Number 772 on the right hand side in the yellow is now your race leader, but unfortunately is not listed in the race programme, so I'm unable to identify that rider once again. But as they all make their way up Pearson Hill, it's the start of the first lap for the Grade C class. So as the riders make their way down from the hill section, it's number 771 on what looks like an old Myco machine who is your race leader. Number 221 is second. William Stevenson is in third there on the old YZ Yamaha, but once again quite a good field of riders for this class. Number 115 there, it looks like that's Stephen Hanna who's just making his way through, but as the first two riders come over the top of the tabletop, it's number 772 leads number 221. William Stevenson is in third. Number 33 just making his way through is another rider, unfortunately, who's not listed. Now I know that the Northern Ireland Classic Scramble Club did their very best to try and get riders to put their entries in early for this event in order that they could get their names in the race programme, but a lot of these riders I think must have put their entries in after the programme was printed. So as we look at our first two race leaders, it's number 771 on the Myco who leads number 221, who I think is also riding an old Twinshock Myco machine. And in fact, if you are one of these two riders who are leading this race and you're looking at yourself in this video clip, I do apologise for not being able to put your names to the bikes, but nonetheless that's beyond my control. But it's still number 771 who leads number 221, also on that Myco, as both riders make their way across the tabletop. Now number 95 there, that's Wesley Stockdale, and number 275 is Eddie Long, just making his way through. So as our race leaders come up to complete another lap, it's number 772 who leads number 221. Both these riders I think are riding Myco machines. As you can see, the weather is still absolutely perfect for racing here at Ballysallagh Road. But this of course has been another highly successful charity event here at Craigantlent in Ballysallagh Road, with £31,158 being collected over the course of the 2 days, and that sum of course will be shared out between the Air Ambulance at Northern Ireland, Kidney Care UK and the Muscular Dystrophy charity. So it's a very big thank you to everybody who donated over the course of the 2 days, and of course to the many sponsors who helped out with their generosity and services over the 2 days, because without their input this event of course would surely never take place. So it's thanks once again for all your support. Now it looks like Wesley Stockdale has come a cropper there and dropped his machine, but it's still rider number 772 who is your race leader with rider 221. It's still very close behind, nothing between these two riders at the moment, but it's still number 772 with a slight advantage at this point. And don't forget that the conclusion of this part 4 video, you can see the remaining races from the Saturday's race programme coming up in part 5, which will be posted quite soon. But it's still this man here, number 772, who leads number 221 as they head towards the checkered flag on their last and final lap. So this has been a good ride here by number 772, who looks like he's going to come up the hill and take the checkered flag in this Grade C class race. And second to cross the line will be number 221. So that quite naturally brings us around to the Twinshock Grade B class. Another fantastic lineup of riders for this Twinshock class, and the Twinshock classes have been well supported at this 2-day event here at Craigantlent. Now the 5-second board is up, and as the riders leave the line, looks like a good start by number 380, that's Terry Bailey, but it looks like a couple of riders have had a bit of a coming together there into turn 1, but as they make their way up the hill, it is indeed number 380 Terry Bailey who is your race leader. Second is number 151, that's John Stokes on the 490 Michael. Now John Stokes, who is in second position, of course already has won 2 races on the Friday evening's race programme in the Class B Twinshock, so John looking very good for another good finish if he can keep this track position up. So as they make their way down from the hill, it's number 380 Terry Bailey on the 490 Michael, followed by number 151 John Stokes from Shotts in Scotland. So another good start here by John Stokes. I'm sure that Terry Bailey has already won a race here in the Twinshock Class B here on the Saturday, so Terry looking very good as well for another cracking finish. So it's Terry Bailey who leads John Stokes. Number 55 going through there is Philip Pearson. So this has been another cracking start to the race for number 380 Terry Bailey on the white and silver Michael. John Stokes is still in second position. Number 151 John's also riding a 1981 490 Michael. Now if this is the kind of racing that you like to take part in, or maybe even just watch, then if you're thinking of making the trip in 2022, I'm sure that the Northern Ireland Classic Scramble Club would not only love to see you at this charity event, but of course at many of their other race events that they stage over the course of the season. And this particular track here at Craigantlent is just a 20 or 30 minute drive from the Belfast ferry port, so it's not far to go after you actually leave the ferry. But we're looking at number 380 Terry Bailey, your race leader. Now number 10 just coming towards us, I think that's David White just making his way through, and number 55 again is Philip Pearson. So as our race leader comes up to start his last and final lap. It's still Terry Bailey who leads John Stokes by a very small margin, so this could be a nice battle to the checkered flag between these two very quick Twinshock racers, but it's still Terry Bailey who has the advantage as they come down from the hill section. John Stokes, number 151, close behind, but nothing between these riders, but certainly Terry who has the advantage at this point. Now, of course, Terry Bailey certainly deserves to win this race because he's more or less led from turn 1, so he certainly deserves to take the win in this race, but it's still Terry Bailey with that slight advantage over number 151 John Stokes. So as they only have about 2 or 3 turns to go towards the checkered flag, it's still Terry Bailey, your race leader. So as they head to the bottom section of the track, just up the hill to go for Terry Bailey to take the win in this Twinshock Grade C class. Now I don't know what's happening there because the last lap flag was actually out on the previous lap, so it looks like these guys are going to have to do another lap. But the funny thing is, after these two guys went past the last lap flag, the marshal then put out the checkered flag, so these two guys actually did another full lap on their own when the rest of the bikes were actually sitting in the paddock. But it's still Terry Bailey who leads John Stokes, number 151. So these guys are doing an extra lap, whereas the rest of the pack are already back in the paddock. So there's certainly been a miscommunication somewhere at the checkered flag, but it's still Terry Bailey, your race leader, from number 151 John Stokes. So as they make their way down to the last and final turn, it looks like it's going to be a win for number 380 Terry Bailey on the Michael. So as Terry comes up, hopefully to take the checkered flag this time around, it's number 151 John Stokes in second, but you can see Terry saying to the marshal just exactly what happened there. Okay, we now move on to the big boys of the Twinshock Grade A class. Now, of course, in the previous race it was number 2 Tommy Merton who was our race winner. So as the riders leave the line once again, just try and pick up our race leader. Looks like Tommy Merton has made a good start in third position. So as the riders make their way up the hill, we'll try and pick out 1 or 2 of these Grade A class riders. So as they make their way along to start lap 1, I think that was number 54, I think that could be Norman Scott, who is your race leader at this point in the race as they all head up the Pearson Hill. So as they make their way down from the hill section, it's now number 2 Tommy Merton, your race leader. Number 54 is Norman Scott on the YZ Yamaha. I think in third position is number 344, that's Ian Dunlop, riding that very quick Michael machine. So here is your race leader, number 2 Tommy Merton. On the Adrian Lappin Husqvarna 430, second is Norman Scott, third is Ian Dunlop, fourth is Ian Buchanan. So as they come across to complete lap 1, it's number 2 Tommy Merton, your race leader. Now Tommy's already won a race here on the Saturday. Second is Norman Scott, third is Ian Dunlop, fourth is Ian Buchanan. But some very quick riders in this Twinshock Grade A class, but Tommy Merton here, number 2, is beginning to open up a slight gap on second placed rider, which is still number 54 Norman Scott. Now if you watch the racing footage from the Friday evening's race programme, you will have already seen this man here, number 2 Tommy Merton, having some great battles with James Thompson in this Twinshock Grade A class, but no James Thompson for the Saturday's race programme. So it's Tommy Merton, your race leader. Second, number 54, is Norman Scott. Third is Ian Dunlop. Fourth is Ian Buchanan. So as he comes round to complete lap 2, it's still Tommy Merton, number 2, with a decent lead over second place rider, which I think is still number 54, Norman Scott. Ian Dunlop is still third. Ian Buchanan is fourth. So a good race developing at the front as the rest of the chasing pack make their way through to begin at lap 3. So as the riders make their way down from the hill section, we're looking at the battle for second, third and fourth. So it's still number 54, Norman Scott leads at number 344, that's Ian Dunlop. Ian Buchanan is still in there in fourth position, but a very good scrap developing between second and third of Norman Scott and Ian Dunlop. Now your race leader Tommy Merton is already quite a way ahead, but this is the battle for second, third and fourth. It's still Norman Scott who leads Ian Dunlop. Number 4 is Ian Buchanan. I think Ian Buchanan's riding that Monda 500. That's the big Honda 500 two-stroke motor inside the Michael frame. But here's your race leader as he starts his last and final lap of this race. It's Tommy Merton. Second position is still Norman Scott. Third is Ian Dunlop, just making his way through there on his Michael. Ian Buchanan is still in there in fourth position. So as it looks, it could be any one of these three riders who take that runner-up spot, but Ian Buchanan moving now up into third place as we take a look at our race leader Tommy Merton, number 2. But here's your second placed rider, Norman Scott, number 54 on the YZ Yamaha. Third position now is Ian Buchanan on the 500 Monda, so that makes Ian Dunlop in fourth position on this last and final lap of the Twinshock Grade A class. So we're still looking at our second place rider, number 54 Norman Scott. Ian Buchanan there in third. Ian Dunlop is in fourth. So as a race leader comes up to take the checkered flag, it's going to be his second win of the day for number 2, Tommy Merton on the 430 Husqvarna. Second position looks like it's going to be number 54, Norman Scott, with Ian Buchanan in third position and Ian Dunlop in fourth. But a cracking race for this Twinshock Grade A class, and number 61 just going through there, believe it or not, is Lawrence Spence. Now rider number treble 3, it looks like he's got a bit of a problem with his RM500 Suzuki. As we move on to the next race for the pre-74s, pre-70s and pre-65s. Now once again, as the riders leave the line, another good start there by John Griffiths, riding that Rickman Jap machine. So it's John Griffiths, I think, who leads number 32, Trevor Calderwood, as they make their way up the hill to begin lap 1. So it's John Griffiths who leads number 32, Trevor Calderwood. In third position, it looks like it's number 44. I think that's Adrian Lappin, with Harry Stitt in fourth position. So as a race leader makes his way down from the hill section, it's still number 33, John Griffiths on the Rickman Jap machine. Number 32 is Trevor Calderwood riding that CZ. Number 44 there is Adrian Lappin, and he's riding a Harry Stitt framed Jap machine. This is not Adrian's normal race bike, but nevertheless he's still very quick on that old 1930s Jap machine. So as the race leaders make their way through the turn and across the tabletop, it's still number 33 John Griffiths who leads. Number 32 Trevor Calderwood on the CZ. Harry Stitt is in third position with Adrian Lappin in fourth. But it's still John Griffiths on the Cecil Pearson Rickman Jap 600 machine who is your race leader as he crosses the line to start another racing lap. So John Griffiths making up for the little spill that he had in a previous race. I think second place now is number 111. I think that's Harry Stitt just making his way through. Adrian Lappin looks like he's moved up into third place, with Trevor Calderwood in fourth. So it's still number 33, John Griffiths, on that 1960s Rickman frame, and the engine of course is a John Alfred Prestwich single cylinder 4-stroke Jap machine from the 1930s, and of course these bikes don't run on regular petrol. These bikes run on the more highly flammable methanol fuel. And this bike that John's currently racing is just one of 9 Jap racers that belong to the track owner Cecil Pearson. But Harry Stitt is in second position, Adrian Lappin is in third. Number 71 just going through there is another rider that's not listed in the race programme unfortunately, but he's doing very well on that 2-stroke CZ bike. So as our race leader crosses the line to begin another racing lap, it looks like John Griffiths has got this race in the bag. He has a very comfortable lead over, I think the second place man was Harry Stitt on the last lap. So John doing very well on his particular Rickman Jap machine. As you know, most of these Jap bikes are owned by Cecil Pearson, and my personal thanks go out to Cecil for his fantastic hospitality over the course of the 2 days, as I had the full rockstar treatment when I came over to Ireland again this year. So thanks to Cecil and his family for all their hospitality. So it's number 33, John Griffiths, your race leader, as John comes round to come up the hill to start his last and final lap of this race. But this has been a very comfortable ride for number 33, John Griffiths. And as I said, John had a bit of bad luck in one of the previous races where he had a slight spill, but nevertheless he was unscathed. But this win in this class will certainly make up for his misdemeanour early on. As we take a look at track owner Cecil Pearson, number 11, but Cecil is in fact riding James Thompson's bike that was being raced on the Friday evening. Now Cecil had a bit of a shunt with another rider on the Friday evening and suffered a few injuries, but as you can see he's made of stern stuff, and Cecil's still back out on his bike having another go. But here's your race leader as he heads towards the checkered flag. It's number 33, John Griffiths, who looks like he's got this race sewn up. Harry Stitt there is in second position, number 111, and this bike of course of Harry's is one of the bikes that the frame that he designed and built himself. So as he comes round to take the checkered flag, it's going to be a win for number 33, John Griffiths, on the Rickman Jap, and you can just see our second placed rider Harry Stitt making his way across the line in second position. As we take a look at a few of the other riders just finishing this race, I think that rider on the right hand side it could be number 303. I think that could be Ryan McMaster, who's just about to cross the line. Okay, that brings us round to another of the youth class races in the small and big wheel 85s, and I do apologise for not being able to catch the start of this race, as I had to make an emergency nature call to the bushes behind, but nonetheless we're back with the racing, and we're looking at the now famous number 10 bike of Alfie Heron, who of course took on those 125s and 250s in a previous race and won. Number 35 just going through there. I think that's Daniel Pearson just making his way through. So we're just waiting on our race leader emerging from the bottom section of the track, and not surprisingly it's that young man, number 10, Alfie Heron. And as I said previously, this young man is certainly a star in the making. So if there are any potential sponsors out there looking for a young potential racing star protege, then this little guy is a surefire motocross superstar in the making. So in maybe 10 years time you can all say that you saw him first here on Classic Dirt Bike TV. So that's number 10, Alfie Heron, riding his small wheel 85cc Husqvarna. And number 44 there, I think that could be Christy Blair just making their way through. But I can quite imagine that this young man's lap times, this Alfie Heron, his lap times are bound to be on par with some of the bigger bikes that were taking to this racetrack. But number 24 there, I think that's Josh McGlennon making their way through. But we're looking at our race leader once again, number 10, Alfie Heron. Number 9 is my old friend Josh Coffey, who said he's a fan of Classic Dirt Bike TV, but it looks like Josh has got a slight problem with his little bike. But oops. So it looks like it's going to be another win for this man here, number 10, Alfie Heron on the 85cc Husqvarna. So well done once again to young Alfie. Looks like we've got an injured rider just making his way back to the paddock with mum and dad. Next up we have a class for the over 50s bikes. Now this is just a one-off race for these bikes on the Saturday, so some quite quick riders once again in this class, and we're just waiting on the 5-second board to go up. And as you can see, a few two-strokes involved in this race with the smoke trails belching out. I don't know what Greta Thunberg would make of those bikes, but nonetheless, as they come round to start lap 1. Looks like William Dixon's made quite a good start there in second position on the right hand side there. I think William's riding one of those 1983 490 single shock Michaels. So as the riders emerge from the hill section, I think it looks like it's number 4 Ian Buchanan who is your race leader. Number 10 there, I think that could be David White just making his way through, also riding one of those German Michael machines. But again, quite a nice field of riders in this over 50s class race. Now quite a nice looking, what looks like an old 250 Michael Spider from about 1983 there, quite a rare machine. So as a race leader comes up to complete another lap, it's still number 4 Ian Buchanan on the Monda. Ian of course is riding that bike with the big 500 two-stroke Honda engine in a Michael chassis, quite a popular conversion for these Twinshock bikes. Now number 61 there, that's the world famous Lawrence Spence. Now many of you of course will remember that epic race that Lawrence had at the British Grand Prix at Farleigh Castle in 1983, when at the end of a 45-minute race Lawrence's gearbox seized up on his Kawasaki and he had to drag the bike about 50 yards across the finish line to complete the race. And here he is some 40 years later still racing and being quick on a motocross bike. So it certainly looks like Ian Buchanan could be heading for his first race win of the weekend, number 4 on that extremely quick Monda, which of course has been converted for Twinshock racing. Number 61 there is still Lawrence Spence in second position. I think this is a borrowed bike that Lawrence is riding, but I've seen Lawrence riding old CZ machines and he's extremely quick on those bikes as well. But it's nice to see Lawrence back out and racing once again. Now I think number 13 there, I think that could be Roy Johnston on his old RM Suzuki. So it's still at number 4, Ian Buchanan, your race leader. Looks like Ian's got quite a comfortable lead to the checkered flag now on that 500 bike, but Lawrence Spence there still in second position. So another good ride by Lawrence on the Maiko. Number 380 there, I think that's Terry Bailey once again, and number 2 is Adrian Lappin, and this time Adrian's riding his 250 Husqvarna machine. So as our winners already crossed the line, it's a win for Ian Buchanan, number 4, and in second place is number 61 there, Lawrence Spence. Okay, next up we have the second race for the pre-74s, pre-70s and pre-65 class. And it looks like another good start there by John Griffiths. Harry Stitt is in second place this time. Now Adrian Lappin is back out again, but Adrian this time of course riding one of Cecil Pearson's Jap machines. So as they cross the line to start lap 1, it's Jap machines in first, second and third place positions. Now just in case you're following these races with the race programme in front of you, these are not as per the race programme, but nonetheless it's still good racing. As we take a look at number 111, that's Harry Stitt on his Stitt framed Jap Scrambler. Adrian Lappin is still in third position. But this bike of Harry Stitt is a frame that Harry designed and built himself, and he of course has put one of Cecil's 600cc methanol burning Jap motors in the chassis, and as you can see it's a very quick piece of kit. So it's still number 44, third Adrian Lappin. So as the riders come up to complete lap 1, your race leader is still John Griffiths. Harry Stitt is in second position. John of course has already won a race in a previous class at this event on the Saturday, but Harry Stitt looking very good there in second place as both these riders make their way up the hill and back down again, but it's still number 33 John Griffiths. There doesn't seem to be any sign of Harry Stitt, who was quite close earlier on. It's Adrian Lappin now who has moved up into second place, so it looks like Harry Stitt has some kind of mechanical issue with his Jap bike, and then you can see Harry there, and it looks like Harry's just coasting his way round, so there must be a problem with that 1930s Jap motor. So here's your race leader as he comes round to start another racing lap. This is another fantastic performance here by number 33 John Griffiths. And coming through in second position is Adrian Lappin, and Adrian's also riding one of those Stitt framed Jap Scramblers. So Adrian riding a bike that was designed by Harry Stitt. So it's still John Griffiths, your race leader, second Adrian Lappin. But John Griffiths is looking very comfortable for another race win. Adrian Lappin once again, number 44. Adrian, of course, one of the organisers of this two-day event here at Craigantlent, and Adrian has to be applauded for the hard work that he puts into this event, and of course for taking part in the racing as well. So that's number 44 there, Adrian Lappin. So it looks like our race leader, number 33 John Griffiths, is on his way to his second win of the day. Now of course these Rickman Jap machines have the total loss oil lubrication system, whereby you fill the frame with engine oil and it gets pumped around the motor and then out onto the ground, hence the name Total Loss Oil Lubrication. So this has been another excellent ride for this man, John Griffiths, number 33. Adrian Lappin now is in second position on his Stitt Jap machine. So it looks like Adrian is closing in ever so slightly on John Griffiths. Number 671 is in third place, but unfortunately I'm unable to name that particular rider. So unless any serious mechanical failure befalls Adrian Lappin, it looks like Adrian's going to secure that second place position. But here's your race leader as he comes round from the bottom section of the track to take the checkered flag. It's going to be another well-deserved win for number 33, John Griffiths, and Adrian Lappin just coming up close behind, and Adrian's going to cross the line in second position. Okay, that brings us to the final race for this part 4 video, the Twinshock Grade C class. And don't forget, you can see the remainder of all the racing from this Saturday's race programme, which will be coming up soon and posted in part 5. So as our riders make their way up the line to start lap 1, we'll try and pick out a few of the riders for you in this class. And as you can see, once again, another almost full gate of riders for this Twinshock Grade C class race, as they all make their way up the hill for the first lap. So as the riders make their way down from the hill section, I think our race leader is still number 154. I think that's Aaron Bailey riding a YZ250 Yamaha. It looks like number 221 is your second place rider, but again, another one of the riders that's not listed in the race programme. As we take a look at the rest of the pack, just making their way through the wall of death turn, as it's been known. So as they come towards us, it is indeed number 154, Aaron Bailey, who leads number 221. Number 33 is another one of the riders that's not listed in the race programme, unfortunately. But once again, I hope you've enjoyed all the racing videos from this 2-day event here at Craigantlent, and I hope you enjoyed some of the bikes from the paddock as well. So there's plenty to see on my YouTube channel from this 2-day event. But as we take a look at our race leader, number 154 Aaron Bailey, but it looks like number 221 is trying to go round the outside. Looks like our new race leader is indeed now at number 221, and again, apologies for not being able to name that rider. Now, of course, if this is the kind of racing that you like to look at here on YouTube, and these are the kind of bikes that you look at, then please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel if you like to see more of these type of racing and of course these type of bikes. So we're looking at our second placed rider, number 154 on the 250 YZ Yamaha, Aaron Bailey, and it's still at number 221 on the Maiko, who is your current race leader. And in fact it's rider, I think that's rider number 772 in second place. In third place now is William Stevenson. So as our race leader comes up to complete another lap, it's number 221, your race leader. I think that could be an older 440 or a 400 Maiko that particular rider is racing, but he's looking good for the win in this race. As we take a look at number 212, that's William Stevenson. Now this is a bike that William bought brand new in 1978, and he's raced and looked after this bike from that day, and is still racing it in 2021. So well done to William for sticking with his old YZ 400 Yamaha. Now, as I said, the final video from this 2-day event here at Craigantlent will be posting quite soon on my YouTube channel, and it will be the remainder of the races from this Saturday's race programme, so make sure you tune to my channel to see that as our race leader starts his last and final lap. Number 221, second it looks like it's still number 154, that's Aaron Bailey. William Stevenson, number 212, is in third place with number 772 in fourth. So we're looking at a race leader once again as he comes to pass at number 115. I think that's Stephen Hanna on his 250 Husqvarna. So it looks like number 221 is well on his way to his first win of the day. He has rode superbly from the start gate and has led most of this race, so it's not a win that he doesn't deserve. So it's number 221, your race leader, as he makes his way through to the bottom section of the track and the last 2 or 3 turns before the finish line. So it's going to be a win for number 221. So as our race leader comes up to take the checkered flag, I do hope you've enjoyed all the racing footage from this part 4 video. Now don't forget, you can see the remaining races from the Saturday's race programme coming up in the final chapter and video of this series from the 2-day event here at Craigantlent. So once again, thanks for watching Classic Dirt Bike TV, and we'll see you again soon in part 5.